Welcome to Happy to See Me, the podcast that puts the spotlight on the overlooked and underestimated. I'm Erika Casupanan, the first Canadian to win Survivor. But before that, I was a Filipino immigrant and corporate perfectionist who felt doubted and overlooked. Now I'm here to prove that every journey, whether messy, beautiful, or unexpected, is worth celebrating. Every Monday, I bring you candid conversations and relatable pep talks with guests who've defied expectations. If you're ready to feel seen, celebrated, and empowered, you're in the right place. And here, I'm always happy to see you. Have you ever decided, I'm finally going to take the brave step and start that thing I've been thinking about? Maybe it's a small business or a side hustle. Maybe it's a YouTube channel or even a podcast or content creation. So you decide you're going to put in the work. You're going to do the months of research. You're going to put together your strategy, and you decide to take the brave step, put that thing out into the world, and then crickets. No one is watching. No one is listening. No one is liking anything, ordering anything, and you have no clients. There is no response to your hard work. But you decide, this is a thing I really want to do, so I'm going to persevere. So another month goes by, no traction. And another month goes by, no traction. You wait a third month, still no traction. And then you start to ask yourself, should I quit? So how do you stop yourself from quitting in that moment? Today's guest, Aileen Xu, shares her story of starting her YouTube channel, Lavendaire, which is best known for its lifestyle and personal growth content. It is now a 2.5 million subscriber YouTube channel. But when she started that channel, nobody watched any videos for the first 2 years. So in this episode, we're talking about what motivated her to start, and more importantly, what motivated her to keep going. But first, I love to start each episode by talking about something I was happy to see this week. So this past weekend, I had a dream come true partnership. I got to work with the One of a Kind show. So if you're not from Canada or even from Toronto, the One of a Kind show is the biggest craft show in Canada. It features over 400 makers, and all of the items they bring need to be made in Canada. So for me, it's the best place to find unique fashion pieces. It's the best place to find things that are made locally and to hear the stories of why each artisan made each item. And I got to partner with them on a social media brand deal, and I got to have my shopping channel moment and actually do a main stage presentation where I could pick out my favorite colorful items from the show and show them to the audience. I thought the highlight was going to be partnering with an event that I really love. But honestly, what made me the happiest was meeting all of the different makers. These are people who decided that they were going to pursue their creative passion, whether it was through fashion and upcycling materials, or through making jewelry or home decor or sweet treats or body and skincare. Basically anything you can imagine is there, handmade in Canada. And I met a lot of the makers, and they were so excited to meet me. They were so inspired seeing me on Survivor and Perseverance and all of that fun stuff. But I was thinking, oh no, it is really all of you who are actually persevering and who are inspiring me, because you are taking the creative path, you are taking the harder path, and you are following your passions, even though I know it is so hard to be such a small business owner. But they keep going, knowing that sharing their art with the world can make someone's life a little bit better. And meeting all of these makers really inspired me to keep going with my creative pursuits. So that is what I was happy to see this week. And I think that goes perfectly with this week's interview with Aileen Xu from Lavendaire. Aileen is best known from the Lavendaire YouTube channel and the Lavendaire Lifestyle podcast. Her content and resources are all about empowering you to build your dream life. And I personally have been watching Lavendaire's videos for years and listening to her affirmations and her meditations. So me personally, I was fangirling getting the chance to talk to her. In this episode, we talk about how feeling underestimated propelled her to start her YouTube channel and to persevere in her creative career. And we break down what it means to be the artist of life and create your dream life. This episode personally inspired me to keep pursuing my passions. And if you know somebody who needs that extra bit of motivation in their creative passions or their side hustle or their passion project, send them this episode. So why don't we just get into it? Here is my interview with Aileen Xu. I hope you enjoy it. Also, I don't know if I told you this, but do you want to know how I started watching your videos?
Oh, no, I'd love to know.
So during the pandemic, which I think is when everybody was doing so much introspection, that's when I started to get into learning about manifesting and crystals and all of that. So my YouTube algorithm was starting to really adjust to me doing all of this self-improvement stuff. And then I saw a thumbnail for one of your videos and I was like, oh, cool. She also has purple hair. I'll watch this. And that's how I got into it.
You had purple hair back then too?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had like colored hair for like over a decade. That was when I first started doing different colors with my hair. That was my statement to change my identity. Oh, I'm an artist. I'm going to express myself.
It really does change your identity, right? Like for the longest time, I had long hair, straight across bangs. It was my natural color. And then I kid you not, one day I just cut off 10 inches of my hair and dyed it purple and then walked into the office and was like, hey, everyone.
I'm a new woman. Yeah.
Did you feel like it was a big identity shift for you when you colored your hair?
Huge. Yeah, it's funny because I think even a couple years before that, I chopped it all off into like a little bob. So it was, I graduated college, I chopped off my hair. You know, I think we express ourselves based on how we're feeling or what we're going through in life. And when I decided to like go blonde and pink and purple, that was when I was like pursuing music and I declared to myself and the people around me that I'm going to be an artist.
Oh, so then when you decided to no longer have the colored hair, what were you declaring to yourself and to the world?
Like, you mean recently, right?
Yeah,
this is like, because I think I had it up till like maybe 1 or 2 years ago. Post-pandemic, it was like harder to manage. But I think I was declaring that I don't need to prove myself anymore.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm still an artist. I love who I am. And I don't need, like, there needs to be nothing. Like, I don't care what people think. I could do whatever I want. I mean, the whole time I loved my hair, but I think it's just these internal shifts in these statements.
It is a lot of work having colored hair. The people with colored hair know.
Yeah.
And also the package, like the outside packaging doesn't change what you have to offer and what's inside, right?
Yeah. And I also feel like I had the colored hair for over a decade. It was also like, who is the new mature me? I was going through a lot of healing in the past few years. If you look at who I was in my videos from over 5 years ago, I am just a different person, literally a different person.
You know what, though? I went back and to prepare for this episode, I actually watched your very first YouTube video where you were talking about how to not care what other people think about you. And I was thinking, okay, of course, you know, the production is different. You've become so much more confident speaking on camera. It's very clear what your voice is now. But I think that the meat of what you're trying to say is the same, right? To focus on yourself and to really love yourself and focus on your growth. So I think that even though you've changed so much, at the core, you've always known what you wanted to say.
Oh, thank you. When I started Lavendaire, I started it with a lot of intention. It wasn't like, oh, let me figure out what this channel is. Like, no, because I had a previous YouTube channel. I've been on YouTube doing music. When I started Lavendaire, I was like, this is going to be about my journey as an artist of life, creating my dream life, whatever that means to me and everything I learn about it. And it's funny, I picked that as my first video, how to stop caring about what people think of you, because that's literally one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in the past couple of years up to that point was graduating college, not taking the corporate job, not going the same route as all of my peers, like being okay with not looking successful on the outside, doing something totally against what my family and everyone around me was telling me was good and successful, and just pursuing that creative path and learning to not care about what people thought of me. That's why my hair was different colors. That's why I was like putting myself out there, being cringy and trying all the things.
I don't think it was cringy because I mean, it's gotten you here.
Oh no, I did some cringy things. Some bad acting opportunities. I did a singing competition, which was fun, but if you watch my performances, cringy.
Hey, it's part of the journey, right?
It really is.
And don't people say you have to make things for the person that you were in the past? So everything that you were making, even though you're calling it cringy now, I'm sure that the younger Aileen would have wanted to watch that.
Yeah, I think I call it cringy because now looking back, I'm like, oh, like I could have done so much better, but at that point, that was the best that I knew. And I was literally trying my best. And so I still love and appreciate that version of myself and all the things that I did. Because if I didn't do those things, I wouldn't be where I am now, right? If I didn't take those risks.
I want to talk about your journey and how you got to this mindset because it's been so fun over the years watching you on YouTube and seeing you evolve. And on this podcast, I love to put the spotlight on people who have been overlooked or underestimated in some way. So I want to know, have you ever felt underestimated? And if you have, was there a moment when you really felt underestimated?
Yes, definitely at many points in my life. But I think the biggest point in the story that kind of sparks this journey of Lavendaire is underestimated as a creative or as an artist. And that word is interesting because no one's asked me in that angle before. But during those years, I really had to like stand up for myself and go against like what my parents, specifically my dad, wanted me to do. Obviously, he just couldn't understand why I just couldn't get an office job. And I was like, no, I am not getting a job. I am going to be a creative. I'm going to be an artist and figure out a way to make it work. And we argued and fought about that. And our relationship was already complex and emotional and difficult to start with. So there's a whole story there. But I think feeling underestimated gave me this drive to kind of prove myself. And I call it like a productive trauma because now I've learned to try slowly let that go. But I think when you're young, you have these kind of a chip on your shoulder that you want to prove that you can succeed at what you say you want to do. You want to, like, there's just so much that I felt I needed to prove, like, oh, I can do this. I can prove you wrong because I felt underestimated. Also, like doing music, when you're trying to pursue music as an artist, there's a lot of people that don't believe in you. And I think because I went through so much of those experiences, it shaped me having to learn to believe in myself. It shaped my self-worth, my self-love. I had to become really strong internally in order to face and continue on this path. Because, yeah, you're not getting the external praise all the time. Sometimes it seems like it's going nowhere or you're going backwards and you just feel so low and you have nothing else but yourself to lift you back up.
I've read in old interviews from you that you said that when you were younger, you were living off of praise. I think especially when you're working in music or when you're working as creatives like us, the reality is we are performing and making things for other people, right? So what people think does matter, but you have to create those boundaries between what you think of yourself and what other people think of you. So how were you able to start to wean yourself off of living off of praise?
Ooh, yeah, I think this has been also a big journey in my life because growing up, I think a lot of my memories, I felt unappreciated. I felt unseen, invisible. Like my dad didn't live with us. He lived in China. So I only saw him a few times in my life, literally. And then my mom was obviously a single mom working a lot. So she basically dropped me off at my grandma's house. I grew up with my cousins and it was a bunch of kids running around and I felt very unseen. I never felt like I got the love that a child craves. And because of that, I think obviously you crave the approval, the acceptance and the love from the people around you. And I think most people can relate to wanting love and approval. That's just a human thing, right? You want your peers and your friends to love you, this and that. But I think especially because I grew up really shy and quiet and feeling unseen, like nobody noticed me. I was just like a random person in the corner. That made me really kind of crave and feel really good when I got external validation, right? Oh, Eileen's so good at piano and oh, she did well in school here. And so the more you feel that those little experiences of praise and approval, the more you're kind of living your life for that. You're doing well in school because you want the approval, acceptance, and love from the people around you, not because you want to do it yourself, right? You're stressing yourself out to try to be something that you think you're supposed to be in order to earn that approval and the praise from the people around you. It's a trauma, but it kind of led me, obviously, to what I'm doing now. Because if I had that internal self-love my whole life, I don't think I wouldn't have started a YouTube channel. I would have maybe gone a totally different route. But I think part of that fuels it's kind of like you find what you're looking for, right? Because I was in high school when I started a YouTube channel because I love to sing and I was so shy. I would never sing in front of friends. My friends didn't even know I liked to sing, but I wanted an outlet, right? So YouTube was just new. I started seeing cover artists performing, like doing, posting videos on YouTube. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I started posting videos of myself singing. And what was fun was like, you get feedback, you get some attention, you get some praise. And I thought that was really fun because it was anonymous. I was like, I love it. Nobody knows who I am online. I don't have to be my real self and tell my friends what I'm doing, but I was kind of doing the secret hobby on the side. And long story short, eventually someone from my school found my videos and then word got out that I was making YouTube videos. And so in a way, YouTube kind of helped me build my confidence because I had to obviously admit, yes, I'm on YouTube. And yes, I like to sing. And so my friends started getting to know that side of me. I started to sing more in public at performances, things like that. And that really built my confidence. I wouldn't have done it without YouTube.
It sounded like early on, YouTube was the safe space for you, right? Where you could put things out. It seemed like it was very separate from your real life. So you had your videos, you had the people who would respond to your videos on YouTube. And then when people found out about it in real life, it sounds like it was probably like a breach of this secret world that you had.
Scary.
What was that like for people to realize what you were doing this whole time?
You know what? I'm grateful that nobody thought it was weird. Everyone was more like surprised in a good way from what I remember. So in a way, it was almost as if my friends were really kind at opening me up like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. And so it was kind of like an okay, it is safe to be yourself. It is safe to show a little bit more of yourself to the people in your life.
That's so good for you to be surrounded by people like that, because I feel like you would need to have done that work for yourself, or at least have a bit of your own self-love for you to be so open-minded to realizing that somebody around you has this other passion and is showing up in a different way. So that's really amazing that you had those types of friends around you.
Yeah, yeah.
When you started on YouTube, so you were doing music, how did you end up doing the work that you're doing now with so much promotion of self-love and helping people to grow?
So when I started pursuing music, I was obviously trying to learn how to become a successful artist. And so I studied other artists who were successful, people I looked up to. I was just in an era where I started reading a lot of self-help books because I was like, how do I do life? How do I succeed in life? Because I was nowhere where I wanted to be. And so that kind of, I think a lot of these big life questions opened the doors for me to start reading a lot of books and start reading blogs at the time. Like, what is my purpose? What is the point of life? Why am I here? I started asking all these big questions. And basically, it was a slow learning and developing, but over those, I would say 2 to 3-ish years, I threw myself and said yes to everything that interested me. So as I was pursuing music, I was trying to do acting, hosting on TV. I was working with nonprofits, a food festival. I was making videos for other people. I was doing a lot of marketing and social media. And I was just experiencing a lot of fun things in life. Like I mentioned, I did a singing competition on Taiwanese TV. I had the opportunity to fly to Taiwan to do a short film because me and my friends, I met filmmaker friends and we decided to produce a short film together. And I just did so much cool stuff that I was like, wow, if I never decided to take the creative path, I would never have experienced all of this. And it was so fun to me. The irony is externally and financially, I was not anywhere successful, right? I was not making money, but I was having so much fun with life. It was taking the unknown path. And that really inspired me. It really inspired me to come up with this concept of, wow, we really can create anything we want with our lives. It really is just up to our decision and our choice. I am an artist and life is art. And that's where life is an art, make it your masterpiece came from. It was just an aha, wow, life really is what you make it. You don't have to take this set path. There are so many paths. There's an infinite amount of paths that you can take. The more people I met that were doing things outside of the norm that I knew of, the more inspired I got. And so that's why I decided I was already writing blogs about learning and growth on my music blog. It was just under my name, but I decided to start a new brand and make it intentional. This is going to be about personal growth. and let's see where this goes. Because I was on YouTube, I was like, nobody my age on YouTube or even online seems to be talking about these topics that I'm so passionate about. Nobody was talking about self-help and personal growth. Everyone that I was watching at my age, I was like early 20s, is just beauty, lifestyle, that type of content. And I was like, I want to bring something deeper to YouTube. And I think I can speak to a younger audience.
I mean, that's why I clicked on your first video that I saw, right? I was consuming all this content about self-help and how to grow. And then I see somebody, also an Asian woman, also with purple hair. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I have not seen a single person in the space who's anyone like me, let alone someone with matching hair.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
True. It honestly does resonate. And I still remember seeing your first video. I can't remember what it was about because I watched so many of them. It's so special that you came in with this different point of view. I'm sure that at the time, the self-help space looked a certain way. Was there
so
something
different.
that you wanted to do that was different with Lavendaire?
Well, I just knew that there was a gap in the space. Like I mentioned, I followed a lot of people and I did my research on what other YouTube channels were out there, but nobody was around my age and nobody looked like me, right? That kind of gave me a go like, okay, let's try it and let's bring a new perspective to this. You know, everything self-help at that time was like the Tony Robbins, the Gabrielle Bernstein, which I love those people, but I think a lot of them were speaking to a slightly older generation and nobody was minority or anything. Even to this day, like when I look at like conferences on personal growth or spirituality, I'm like, okay, I see a lot of faces and they're all a few colors, but none of them look like me.
Literally,
right?
Literally. I was like, who else is like Aileen? Who else is an Asian woman, Asian person doing self-help? I'm sure that there are people out there that I'm just not aware of yet. But the fact that they're not the top of mind, the fact that I can be searching and they're not coming up right away, there isn't enough representation in the space.
Yeah. We've come a long way because I've seen so many more people come into this space. I've seen it grow over the years, but even now, I don't think it's where it could be. There's still so much growth that can happen.
When you were first starting out with Lavendaire and you knew you wanted to be in the self-development space, did things take off right away or did it take a while for things to happen?
Not at all. Oh my gosh. I was making videos for 2 years with no one watching.
Wow.
But you know what? I wasn't making it to get views or to even succeed. When I started the channel, it wasn't, oh, I know this is going to be my next big thing. I was still pursuing music. I was working on my next album. I created like one album. Then I started Lavendaire and then I was planning to continue with music, but Lavendaire was more of like a space for me to express everything I was learning. And the only thing that I did with Lavendaire was I told myself I'm going to commit to posting one video every single week. Even if I don't know what I'm going to talk about and I'm going to do it last minute, like the night before, I'm going to post every single Wednesday. And so I committed to that for a few years, really. And I really think consistency was a big part of why the channel became successful, because if I didn't promise that to myself, I would have given up earlier because it wasn't really showing that much traction. The thing is, like, YouTube was such a slow game in the first 2 years. Yes, there was traction and it was slow growth, but I think even though like the numbers were very small, but the difference I felt with Lavendaire versus music on YouTube was the feedback that I got from Lavendaire was so much more heartfelt and deep because you're talking about topics where you're actually helping people. And it was the first time I started to get messages like, wow, that video you made really, really helped change my mindset. It really helped change my life, or it really helped me feel better about myself. And getting messages and comments like that, I think was also a big part of me continuing, because I was like, wow, this is actually making a difference in some way, even if it's very small. Because I think one of my biggest goals when I was pursuing this path of not doing what was traditional creative is not only to be more creative as a person, but to make some sort of impact on the world, right? In my jobs and internships in the past, working for bigger companies, I was like, I don't feel like I'm making any impact, right? I'm helping someone sell a car maybe, but I wanted that meaningful impact. And I got that with Lavendaire.
Well, that's the difference between, chasing the numbers. I think especially now when you work in media, whether it's YouTube, social media, it's so easy to look at all of the metrics. But the numbers really come and go, but the community is really what's so valuable, right?
Totally.
Do you find that the numbers do take a toll on your mental health, knowing that they're so important to your business?
It's tough. There's definitely a balance, and I've experienced both. And this ties into what I was talking about earlier about praise. I think it's a mix of the praise and the fear of failure, because once you, if you're on social media, so much of your success is tied to the numbers, right? So much of social media is up and down. It's a roller coaster. It's unpredictable. It's out of your control. So some days or some phases of your business, the numbers are down. And so you're feeling down. And if the numbers are doing well, you're feeling well. And I realized up to a certain point, I was like my emotions are going up and down with the numbers, and it's so mentally draining. It's not mentally healthy for me to care so much about this. And that's the period of my life, I would say 2019-ish, where I started to unravel my sense of self-worth from the external, right? From how productive I was, from how successful I looked on the outside. And it was a healing journey where for a few years, I really had to try my best to let it go. I had to stop caring about the numbers. But sometimes, obviously when you're caring about the numbers, you're focused and you're working hard at it, you are helping it succeed. And then when you try not to care about the numbers and you let it go, it will fall. It will. But you have to be okay with the failure because you're untying something. When think of you untying a knot or pulling something apart, it's not going to be oh, that was easy. It's going to be oh,
I wish.
You pull it apart and then you go the other extreme. And then you're oh crap, my business is really failing. And then you feel bad about yourself. And then you're okay, how can I rebuild this in a healthy, balanced way where I do look at the numbers? I do let it inform my decisions practically because it's still a business. You do have to care about the numbers to some extent, but I have detached myself to the point where whether it's up or down, I am calm, I am stable, I'm grounded. I think that's my goal, is to be emotionally neutral regardless of whether things are up and down.
I love that you are so open about this, because I had what I like to call a job for 10 years. And then I switched into working for myself. So doing podcasting, keynote speaking, social media, hosting, TV, all of the stuff. And I feel like there are two major things that really can get to me. One that we mentioned were the numbers and the metrics. So you're always having to deal with the results of the work you put in, but then also that cringy feeling when it comes time for you to record something, make something, and publish something. So it seems like you feel bad when you're being cringy, and then you feel bad when you see the numbers. So a lot of ups and downs. What is your advice for somebody who wants to get to that neutral point in their business?
Yeah, it's learning to enjoy the process. First of all, you have to enjoy the creation of it. You can't just be doing this for the result, because the result is out of your control. One of the things I learned being an artist too, studying what it means to be an artist, is an artist focuses on the work. You just do the work. You just focus on the creative journey, and you get fulfillment from being creative because it's fun, it's expressive. So focus on the work and the journey and let go of the attachments to the outcome, because you have no control over whether it succeeds or not. You might have some control. You think you have control, but you have no idea. Sometimes the best results come from something you would have least expected. And sometimes you try really hard on something. You're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then it's a complete flop. That happens all the time in art and content. And so you can't, don't put yourself there where it's such a roller coaster. Put yourself here. You can control yourself, how much you show up to do the work. It really is just bringing the power back to you. Everything that you can control that is within your realm of control, like your body, your decisions, how you use your energy and your emotions, all of that is within your control. So focus your energy on that rather than everything outside of it.
I love that. And of course, what's so important is knowing that you're putting yourself into your work. You are being authentic. You're making what you want to make, and then you create impact and connection. Has there been a moment where one of your viewers or listeners came up to you and shared with you how your work has impacted them, and it really surprised you how it resonated?
I think I've had a lot of those experiences. I'm really grateful that there have been a lot of moments where people come up to me and thank me for my work. Sometimes it's at a noodle shop, or sometimes it's across the world, right? One time I went to Bali and I went on a solo trip by myself, I booked like a day tour where, someone takes you around. So I was at this waterfall, basically traveling by myself, but with another girl who joined the solo, the day tour. And then in passing, there was someone who was like, oh my gosh. And it turned out to be someone from France who watches my videos. And she just like, gave me the compliments. Oh my God, I'm so excited to meet you. I would love your videos. It's helped me so much. And I was just stunned because I was like, wait, like when this happens in another country and I was alone, I was not expecting anything. I think that's more of what surprises me, that my impact reaches beyond my immediate community. And it's always like, it always feels like such synchronicity, and it's always so special. This has happened a couple times. So one time in Bali at the waterfall, one time in Malaysia in the food court, someone came up to me. And so I think that is what's really fun.
Oh my gosh. I know how important it is for people to share with artists and creatives how their work has impacted them. So if anybody has somebody that they look up to, make sure you let them know in some way how their work has impacted them. I want to give you a moment where I tell you how your work impacted me. So for the last 2 years, truly what I do before every flight where I know I'm going to sleep, I go to your podcast and I download a bunch of the meditation episodes or the affirmation episodes, and I just make this playlist, and then I just listen to them the whole time that I need to fall asleep.
Oh my gosh.
Because their voice is so soothing and it puts me in a nice headspace, and I wake up. And I know that normally when you wake up on a flight, you're all like frazzled, but I wake up, I'm like, oh, okay, that was really nice. So thank you for that.
Oh my God, I love that. Thanks for telling me. It's so funny because I do the same thing, but with a Korean language podcast, like on a plane, like recently, right? Because I'm trying to learn other languages. I'll like replay these language podcasts while I'm sleeping. Yeah. That's so funny. I love that.
No, but it's truly helped me. And even so many of your affirmation episodes on YouTube, I would put them on when I would make myself breakfast. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do have the power to change my life. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's something I've noticed with the recent, because meditations and affirmations are something I think it's relatively new, but I've been doing it for like 4 years on my channel. And it's resonated with people in a way that I did not expect, because I think I didn't understand how people would like use them as a resource again and again. Honestly, when I do listen to my affirmations too. Like I listen to my own affirmations sometimes.
I love that.
But it does help you align your energy with the ideal. And so I'm really grateful that I found this new format.
I want to ask about your philosophy on being the artist of life. So what does it mean to be an artist of life?
Ooh. So every human being is the artist of their life. Ultimately, what that means is life is your canvas to create anything that you want with it. The thing is, it's not always a blank canvas. Everyone's a different type of artist, right? Every artist is not the same. We all have different skills, different strengths, different preferences and tastes. And so you bring to your life and your work your gifts and your strengths, your life experience, maybe your network, your environment. Like you have all this color, you have all this like version of expression. And so you use that as your resource to create what you can, right? Some people have a great network. They can use that to create something bigger. Some people are very, very intelligent. They can use that. So you use all of your resources. You start where you are, and then you have a vision for what you want to create. It doesn't have to be a specific vision. It could just be a vision where I want to feel more free. I want to feel more inspired every day, or I want to whatever it is. I want to travel the world. I want to be able to not work at the same place every day. I want to be able to work in different places every day. So what's fun about this journey of life is it all begins with the vision, and from the vision and the intention, everything else, you can just like reverse engineer it, right? Everything else can flow from that. Oh, if that's where I'm going, then what can I do now to take one baby step closer to that goal? And I feel like the way I live my life is every step, every choice, every decision is a choice where I feel, is this getting me closer or is it bringing me further from that vision and from that goal? In art, it's the same thing, right? You're creating something, you think you have an idea of where you want it to go. Sometimes it's very specific. Sometimes you're just like, I want to create a cool song. I want to create something with a dreamy sound. Let's try that. And so you're taking these steps. Oh, is this part of my vision? I don't think so. Let me try this. Oh, let me try this. Does this work? So you're constantly taking action and you're creating and you're getting that internal feedback of, is this aligned or is this misaligned? And sometimes you're creating, you're painting something and then you're like, wait, I don't like this. Let me go backwards. And you can like paint over it, right? You can't completely erase it because it happened, but it's basically the life experiences. You take them with you, and at any given moment, you can decide to pivot. You can decide to change the direction that you're going. But if you like the direction you're going, great. Keep creating, keep taking action in that direction. And life is just this continuous creative act. And it is so fun because as an artist, anyone who's creative understands that when you're in flow, when you're creating, it's so fun. It's like one of the most fulfilling, joyful experiences you can have in life. And my goal, I think the goal of the artist of life is to live in that state of flow, constantly creating, constantly deciding, is this what I want? Is this what I don't want? And also a fun part about art and being an artist is sometimes it's not always within your control. I call it a collaboration with the divine. Because when you're in flow, sometimes I'm journaling and I'm like writing really fast. I'm like, wow, these are not even my words. Like it is just coming from something else. Or when you're painting, you're like, there's a connection where there is something outside of you that is also fueling this journey. And so life is the same way. You can't control everything that happens in life. Even if you have a goal here, sometimes life throws you something else and then you work with it. You're like, what is this, like this obstacle or this detour? And then it turns out that it brought you somewhere even better. And so that's what is so fun, is that we are co-creating with the universe or the divine, our greatest masterpiece with life.
I feel like so many people underestimate the impact of even just taking small steps towards where you want to go, where you don't need all the equipment, you don't need the full plan, you don't even need to know exactly what the finish line looks like. And also, let's be real, there's no real finish line, but as long as you move just a little bit, it makes such a big impact, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you brought up the idea of the flow, because that's something that I've been really thinking about over the last few years, where I want to make sure that whatever I do, there's a sense of ease. And that's not to say that things will be easy. Life is not easy. Work is going to have its challenges, but to feel like when I do something, my body is saying, yes, sure, maybe you have a lot of deadlines, maybe there's a lot on your plate, but this feels like something I want to be making. Are there signs that somebody should start to look at their canvas again or start to rejig the direction that they're going in?
I love that the idea of following my intuition and following my heart, but I do understand that not everybody is as intuitive. Some people might be more rational or logical, where that part of them is stronger. But I think all humans have this like core inner wisdom and core inner knowing that is always guiding us. It's just the question is, are you listening to it or not? So I would recommend people to hone that connection with their inner self, whether it's through meditation, journaling, some sort of like solo practice where you're connecting with yourself, because that's the only way where you can tune in and truly know whether something is right for you or not. Sometimes asking others for help could be helpful, but sometimes they just don't know because they are not you. Only you know what's best for you because you are living your life. No one else can live your life for you. So you really have to hone that belief in yourself and the belief in this inner knowing. I know what's best for me, or I feel what's best for me at this time. If people have never heard of human design, I recommend you look it up, look up your chart and read the different types there are, because what I've learned from that framework is that not everybody makes their best decisions in the right way. So you have to know what works best for you. I'm a gut feeling person. So I will know in my body whether something is right for me or not. If my body is like full body yes, that means it's for me. If my body is like, I'm not sure, like if I feel uncomfortable or hesitating, it's probably a no or a not right now. But there are other people who don't have that gut reaction. Some other types, they have to sleep on it. They have to give themselves more time, maybe like a month, before they can decide what's best for them. Some people have to like take a whole month and sleep on it before they can decide what's best for them. So that's something I learned through this whole journey, is like everybody is kind of operating on a different operating system. So what works for me might not necessarily what works for you. or other people. So you really have to get to know yourself and what works best for you.
What's your human design?
Okay, so I'm a generator, which means I have a lot of energy and I have to use up my energy to create. Otherwise, I don't know, I have extra energy where I can't sleep. And my authority, which is how I best make decisions, is called sacral. And like I mentioned, that's the gut feeling. I have a strong inner knowing where my body will tell me what's right for me and what's not.
Oh, I love. I'm a manifesting generator.
Oh, cool.
So similarly, yeah, I have a lot of gut feeling. And I'm also meant to do many things and try many things in this lifetime.
Yes.
And when something isn't working for me, I feel frustration. That's my sign. So that's why I'm like, okay, I can do many projects. I can meet many deadlines. I can have a lot on the plate. That's fine. But if something feels out of alignment and I feel frustrated, that's when I shut down a little bit. So that's why I follow now the ease and the flow. I'm like, I can do lots of things as long as it feels good.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm the same way. Like it has to feel good for me to be motivated to do it. Like if I love something or if I believe in a project, I have endless energy to work on it, right? I won't sleep. But if you put me at a job where I've been in jobs where like it could be an easy job, but I just literally don't want to be there, I completely lose all motivation for life. It's such a struggle. Yeah. It's so hard to get me to do something I don't want to do.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm so easy and good to work with unless I don't want to do it.
Exactly. There are some people who can sacrifice for years. They can just really put themselves through it because they have a sense of responsibility and they can still do it. I was like, no, I don't have that.
Not us.
No.
Well, it's good that you know yourself. And I want to rewind back to when you were young, Aileen, and you were reading the self-help books and you were asking yourself questions to figure out the direction you wanted to go in. What were some of the important questions that you asked yourself?
There's so many questions, but I think the big ones are, what brings me joy in life? What do I want to do? And what kind of life do I want to live? Meaning, what kind of life in the everyday and what kind of life in the big picture? What kind of impact do I want to make on the world? When I die, what would I be proud of saying, oh, I lived my life in this way? So I think of questions like that. And I think the main guiding goals for me when I was young, starting this journey, was I really wanted to find a way to make a living doing what I love, being a creative person. I really valued freedom in many ways. Like I wanted time freedom to be able to sleep, wake up whenever I want, location freedom. I didn't want to go to the same place, work in the same office every day. And then financial freedom is really important to me. I dreamed big, right? I wanted something bigger than just settling for something that's good enough or something that's just okay in life. I really wanted, like, I'm a big dreamer. I love dreaming big and achieving my goals. And when I achieve my goals, I'm like, okay, how can we expand this? How can we dream even bigger? What are the possibilities? And that's why like learning about manifesting, listening to manifesting books really inspires me because it really reminds me that this whole reality, this whole game is just, it really is just a game where it's like, the game is how big can you go? How big can you dream? How much can you manifest? And how fulfilling, bright, and vibrant of a life do you want to live?
I love how when you ask yourself the hard or the deep questions, it becomes so clear what you want and where you're going. Everything you just described, it's so clear what a life that would make you happy would look like.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, do you have any advice for someone who might underestimate their ability to be the artist of their own life and create the life that they want?
Know that there is so much more out there for you than you think is possible for you right now. You just have to be brave enough to step out and find it. Like step out and create it. Life is so fun because first of all, the bigger you dream, the more expansive your imagination, the more expansive and beautiful your life can be because we're only limited by the limits of our imagination, like what you see for yourself and what you believe is possible for yourself. So the first step is stretching that belief. How can I believe more is possible? How can I believe my life could be even better, even more beautiful, even more full? And then the next thing is you just have to take action and do the work. Don't overthink it. Don't doubt yourself. Just take the action. And eventually, the more action you take, the more confident you will become, the more further you will be on your journey. And you're going to be so grateful for taking that action than if you just never took any action and sat there and just wondered, right? Like you might not end up exactly where you imagined yourself would be, but life is going to happen for you. Once you take action in a positive direction, I fully believe the universe also joins in on that dance and it supports you. It kind of brings you to places where you're like, oh, I didn't expect this. This is new. But that's the fun of life, is to watch it unfold and to experience all the beautiful life along the way, right? Remember to be present the whole time. Don't just like look to the future and stay there. Enjoy your life as you're living it. Enjoy the present moment. Enjoy the process of creating, the process of taking action. And in that way, like all of it's going to be so fun and so like beautiful.
Oh, I love that. Be present. Give the universe something to work with, and then you'll surprise yourself.
Love that.
Aileen, it was truly such a pleasure to talk to you today. Such a big fan of you for years. If people want to keep up with you and follow your work, where can they do that?
Thank you so much, Erika. You were so sweet today. If people want to find me, you can find me on YouTube. The channel is Lavendaire. My podcast is called The Lavendaire Lifestyle. We also have a shop where we sell stationery that's like intentional to help you grow and create your dream life. The website is shop.lavendaire.com.
It was so nice to talk to you today. Thank you for joining the pod.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aileen, for sharing your wisdom. And if you are building your dream life and you're pursuing that project, don't give up. Keep going. I am rooting for you. And I would love if you could support me on my creative project. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's at Happy to See Me Pod. Thank you so much for spending a bit of time with me this week, and I will be happy to see you next Monday.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.